The chat room on the Randy Karraker show is always open even before the show starts, and high definition before we even got going said, why didn't Randy ask what gift basket did the Blues send to Bloom today, as all the sports shows are going to talk about nothing but this trade. Cardinals have traded Sonny Gray to Boston for 2 pitchers and a player to be named or cash, and not about how the Blues are mentally effed. And you know what's interesting is I said that to Matthew and Wilson. I said, the Blues have to send a thank you note to the Cardinals for not having us talk about the Blues today, because this morning, right around, a little before 11 o'clock, we got word that the Cardinals had indeed traded Sonny Gray to Boston. Cardinals paying $20 million of Gray's new contract. He's going to get $41 million for a year. And the Cardinals get back Richard Fitts, a young right-hander who was in the Red Sox rotation for a time last year, and Brandon Clarke, big left-hander, throws 100 miles an hour, pitched an A-ball last year, was regarded as the Red Sox number 5 prospect. And Matthew, I'm trying to figure out the downside to this for where the Cardinals are right now. They're in rebuild mode. They were never going to be good. Sonny Gray was never going to be here by the time they got good. And now they have 2 young pitchers, one extremely highly regarded in Brandon Clarke. And this will give them an opportunity to continue to build a young core of pitching for the future.
Yeah, we have already saw some instant reaction. We were able to get on the air early today on STL Sports Central with Joe Roderick and Brendan Schaefer.
How quickly after the trade was announced?
We were 9.5 minutes after John Heyman's tweet. It was freaking awesome.
St. Louis 911.
I was so happy. And the funny thing is like the entire studio wasn't set up because we'd done on a remote that used a bunch of the equipment for the radio station. So it was a very hectic, very fun turnaround. But the reaction was great. But I did see negative reactions from there were a lot of Cardinals fans watching. There were a lot of Cardinals fans in the chat, and I did see some negative reactions. I don't really see how you can react negatively to this, other than if you had some weird, just kind of head in the clouds, sunshine and lollipops expectation that the Cardinals were actually going to be a winning club next year. And then because I saw a lot of people go, wow, they're going to lose so much this year. It's like, yeah, exactly. They were going to lose a lot with Sonny Gray too.
They'll be between 75 and 83 wins. And last year they won 78, right?
Yeah, 75 might be a little audacious.
But they aren't going to have Eric Fetty for the whole year. They aren't going to have Michaelis for the whole year. There's a good chance that young pitchers might wind up being better than those guys. But the key here is that the Cardinals are building for the future. They aren't building for 26 or 27. This is a team that, with all of their 23 and 24-year-olds and in the minors, 22 and 20 and 21 and 20-year-olds, they're building for a sustainable future. Sustainable being affordable within the market that they play, with fans that have changed their habits and aren't going to games anymore, with the different now TV revenue that they're generating. The key to being a successful team in this day and age, in this market, is having young players all the time, building and having a young player ascend every single year, like the Cardinals did in the 80s under Whitey Herzog. And that's what they need to do now. And the best way to do that is to have a wealth of young players, because you're not going to hit on all of them. So you get as many young players as you can, good, young, talented players, and hope that you hit on about 50% of them. And then when you're at that point where you're winning 83, 85 games and you want to get to 90, that's when you go out and get a guy that is an established veteran to supplement your youth movement.
Fair enough. Enrico Palazzo really just honing in on what is the biggest part of this entire story, which is, why do Richard Fitts' parents hate him? The other best thing I've seen about good old Richard Fitts is this.
Here's the thing. It's we'll see. There'll be a game where he'll pitch great, and we'll come on this show the next day and say, man, that Dick Fitts.
So I knew it was going to happen at some point, though. So thank you for ripping the Band-Aid off. We did have an inside report on Cardinals broadcaster Chip Carey, and we were told that, quote unquote, his eyes lit up like a Christmas tree.
Oh yeah,
when he saw the Cardinals return for this trade. Also, the Cardinals yesterday making a move on another pitcher, Scott Blewett. Chip Carey relatively in heaven right now.
Yeah. How would you like to have him in a high leverage situation? And there was a kicker in the NFL named Chris Blewett, So you blew it. Yeah, so that's some of the Cardinals. And by the way, they have Yoel Pozo back too on a minor league contract. But the big move is that the Cardinals 3 years ago, I guess 2 years ago, spent $75 million, didn't spend it. They signed Sonny Gray to a $75 million contract, 3 years.
Now, Randy, would you say that was a well spent amount of money, or is there
really.
another W word and or phrase you would like to use about that money?
Here's what I said about that, and Matthew's referencing this. I said, if you're going to have a record payroll, which the Cardinals were going to have in 24, and this is what you have, you're going to finish 500, then that's a waste of money. Because to me, if you're going to have a record amount of payroll and you have been in a historically great franchise, you should plan on winning big. And the Cardinals, because of the signings of Gray and Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn and having Arenado and Goldschmidt on the team, at that time, that year, they were spending a record amount for them on payroll. And there was no chance that that team was going to be a 92 or a 93 win team. It was going to be essentially a 500 team, and they wound up with 83 teams, 83 wins. So that is the waste of money. I didn't say that Sonny Gray was a waste of money, which is why John Mozeliak got so mad at me that he told his people, he said, hey, don't put anybody from our organization on 101 ESPN, because he was mad at me.
It's like there was more context to the comment.
Well, you'd think that there would be, but somebody put a thing up on Twitter that said, Karraker, Cardinals signing of Gray is a waste of money. And then they didn't listen to the clip where I said what I just said.
You'd think they'd listen to the whole clip before they reacted.
So. You would think. Yeah.
The point of the short little comment is to get you to listen to the whole clip.
It's called clickbait. Yep.
It was not clickbait. It was a drawing action. I was a headline writer. That was my job in the moment. I was a headline writer, which is different than the writer of the story. Headline writers always get blamed when we're sensationalists.
It certainly didn't
clickbait.
It certainly didn't bait Mo, because he didn't listen. He didn't click. So anyway, but Sonny Gray is for what Boston is going to utilize him as. He's fine. He's going to be a number 2. He might have some pressure there because I think they have a segment every single day on their morning radio show on WEEI about like the worst person in the world or something like that. And he might win that a lot. But in terms of pitching ability, being behind Garrett Crochet and striking out his 200 hitters and being relatively inconsistent, he can do that. He does have those games like he did against the Guardians last year. He's not a bad pitcher. He's just not a number 1. He's not an ace. He was our ace, and that was part of the problem. But he's a really good pitcher, and I think it's a good trade for Boston, and I think it's a good trade for the Cardinals on 2 fronts. Number 1, the Cardinals are paying $20 million of his salary. He was due essentially $40 million because $35 million this year and then a $5 million buyout. He's renegotiated now, so he's essentially going to get $41 million this year. And the Cardinals are paying 20 of that, but that's just money. But the Cardinals get a couple of young pitchers back, Dick Fitts, and then the prize of the deal is 100-mile-an-hour, 6'4" lefty, 22-year-old Brandon Clarke, who pitched last year in the minors, had way more strikeouts than innings pitched. He's a former 5th-round draft choice. Chaim Bloom said today that he was a really good pick by Boston when they made that choice, and he was the 5th-ranked Red Sox prospect, and now here he is in the Cardinal organization.
And the crazy thing is, just like 11 days ago, Baseball America was putting out content with him as like the breakout potential star for the Red Sox system this year because of everything he's been doing. There are some ups and downs parts of Clarke's game. He had control issues. He had like 13 appearances last year. All of them were starts, and he never went further than 5 innings. Actually, I don't think he ever made it deep into the 5th inning itself. He was going either 3 or 4 innings. So there are some negative to Clarke's game, but Baseball America is big on him. And in fact, here is a video that they just put out a few months ago, kind of talking about his boost.
Clarke from the Red Sox, look phenomenal this week. It's major stuff. The Red Sox did a great scouting job of getting this guy in the 5th round. Sitting 97 miles an hour. He hit 100. Say it's more of like a horizontal breaking fastball, kind of along those lines, which works, especially when you're throwing as hard as he does. last week, 69% strike rate with a fastball, 85% strike rate with a slider. It sits 88 to 89. It touched 91 miles an hour. It averages 10 to 11 inches a sweep. It's a sweeper in the high 80s, low 90s. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, honestly. It's really interesting stuff, and I think a name you can kind of get in on the ground floor. Red Sox system, man, it's loaded.
There it is. You heard it right there. They're pulling from a loaded system, and like every breakdown he had there was a pretty plus thing to hear about a young pitcher.
Yeah, Samuel Howe points out blisters though, and that was one thing that Chaim Bloom referenced today, that he's kind of worked his way past the blister issue. And Enrico Palazzo, that movement was nuts. It was. It struck me. By the way, there was one other quick note here about the left-handed pitching. And the Cardinals, it says you can never have too many left-handed pitchers. Hitters, sure, but not pitchers. The Cardinals do have too many left-handed hitters. That's a great point. 9 of the Cardinals' top 30 prospects, according to MLB Pipeline now, with the addition of Clarke, 9 of the 30 are left-handed pitchers right now.
Yeah, and you actually got a chance to ask him about his, let's be honest about it, he admitted he's a lefty. We'll call it a spade. His bias towards lefties of all stripes. You asked him about it as, again, a lot of lefties right now with the Cardinals.
Any method to that? Obviously, we heck, you look at some of the pitchers on our club right now, and we probably could use a couple of those guys at the moment, right? Pitching out of our big league bullpen in a sense. But no, look, talent comes on all sides. We're not going to discriminate based on handedness. I'm happen to be left-handed myself, but I don't want any conspiracy theories starting with respect to that.
Starting one.
We're just looking for talent. Either side. Obviously, sometimes that ceiling is rarer to find in a lefty just because there aren't as many of them. But, that really wasn't a significant factor for us.
I mean, it's hard for me not to see the first video from Baseball America with that kind of high-level stuff, combine it with him admitting that it's hard to find that ceiling in a lefty, and not, kind of wrap it all up and look at Clarke as easily the big part of this deal for the Cardinals, because that is undeniable. And him right there, that's him showing his hand a little bit. He's a big deal, and they probably have a pretty high expectation of his ceiling.
And hey, let's be honest about this. If you look at who's the team that the Cardinals are and every other team in baseball are chasing?
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers. Okay, so their leadoff hitter is a left-handed hitter, who, by the way, does hit left-handers pretty well. But Freddie Freeman is a left-handed hitter. Max Muncy is a left-handed hitter. Tommy Edman is he's a switch hitter, but you'd rather have a left-handed pitcher pitching to him. The heart of their lineup, their nucleus, is left-handed. Now, if Schwarber winds up back with Philly, you're talking Harper and Schwarber with them. Even when you're talking about the Cubs now, you look at what they had this year, and they're a primarily left-handed hitting team. So I think that, and I don't know if they'll get Kyle Tucker back, but seems like the best teams have a lot of left-handed hitting. And the more left-handed pitching you have to combat that, the better off you are.
Absolutely. I love this from Enrico Palazzo. Haim's been working when he's got the stubble game going strong.
Oh, he does. But you know what? He's always got the stubble game going strong. He looks great.
I wonder if he cultivates that for that purpose. He always looks busy that way. His boss is always like, man, this guy's burning the midnight oil.
Oh, yeah. Well, his boss is in Castle in L.A. or Cincinnati or something like that.
Aaron says, could this kid be comparable to Blake Snell? This is one of those that I'll leave up to you.
I'm watching that video. I don't think he looks like Blake Snell, but with what you talked about, with his inability to get through innings and the great strikeout ratio, he could be. I know that he reminds me of somebody, but I can't think of who it is.
I can't wait to see like that germinate and see what it pops out as. There is one big thing about Clarke that is interesting to me. Tommy John surgery his junior year in high school.
Yeah.
And that just jumped out to me because we always talk about getting it out of the way. And I know we've been hearing about, kids getting Tommy John early and earlier. And here we go. TJ in junior year of high school for a kid, a 17-year-old, 16-year-old TJ is crazy.
It is an epidemic. Tommy John surgery among teenagers. It was on, what was that Brian Gumbel show on HBO in Inside Sports or something like whatever it was. Anyway, they had a feature on that one time about teenagers that had to get Tommy John surgery. A lot of them. And the thing is it causes a second, and you only have so many ligaments to transplant. So what they do with the ligament surgery is they'll take a ligament out of your thigh and put it in to your elbow. It's your ulnar collateral ligament, but you only have so many replacement surgeries. Kind of like bypass. Did you know, fun fact, that there are only a few arteries that they can use to do bypass? Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. So you can't get like unlimited bypasses because you only have a limited number of arteries in your body that they can use for bypass. So the point being, that fast food that you enjoy, enjoy it. Don't worry.
Eric says David Price.
No, he's more of a short armor than David Price.
Yeah,
I thought he's like you don't see like left-handed short armors, but yeah, I don't think Price was. Maybe we'll do a side by side.
We'll figure it out. Steve Barnum says, "Good afternoon, fellas.
Hi.
Just now tuning in, but it seems like it may be the start of an aggressive offseason. Good or not great. With that being said, who do you think is next to go?" Steve, you're in my flipping head. We were trying to think, like, what's the one thing we got to get into today's show that isn't just talking about this trade? And my literal question to Randy was going to be, who do you think is the next domino to go? You're in my head, Steve. I love the question. We'll get to it right now.
I think it'll be easier for the Cardinals to move Brendan Donovan than it will be to move Nolan Arenado. I think Arenado, we got to wait for things to hash out. What does Philly do with Alec Boehm? What happens with Alex Bregman? There are other teams out there that are looking at third base situations. Do the Angels have the gumption to get Nolan Arenado? And he wouldn't be particularly expensive for them, but their highest paid guy is a third baseman who never plays and hates baseball. Do they have what it takes to replace him? And the other thing about the Angels, they might be on the hook for all of this money in the Tyler Skaggs deal. So that could be $118 million or more that they have to pay for that. So I think there's a lot of moving parts with an Arenado deal. I think with Donovan, you're probably, if I'm not misstating this, you're probably just going to auction him off and get the best deal that you can. So I would think Donovan at the winter meetings before Arenado. That'd be my guess.
At the winter meetings before Arenado. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the Arenado one feels like dominoes are going to have to fall. Like you said, Bregman and those guys are going to have to find out where their spot is. Mm-hmm. And, the big money ones like Kyle Tucker and like things are going to get moved out around that. A great video coming up on STL Sports Central that you'll be able to watch later on this week is B-Shave and Joe Roderick dove into the Yankees possibility of trading for Nolan Arenado. And they're one of those teams that factors in, if they will, it's one of those ones where they could come in later in the game after some things have moved around, and then maybe another player on their team that might be taking up that third base spot, maybe they get shuffled around because the Yankees, like we talked about yesterday, are apparently bleeding cash right now, Randy. So God knows they're not going to make a lot of big moves this offseason.
I think Ryan McMahon is still under contract there, and they have Chisholm at second.
Oh, they got to know all of it. They got to know all these factors. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
The video coming up here on STL Sports Central. The
good.
whole special on STL Sports Central this week is that Joe and Brendan are doing is could Nolan Arenado get traded to blank? And they're doing a whole series of videos where they're going through the most likely teams. The team they released yesterday, the chances that Nolan Arenado get traded to the Boston Red Sox, I think now slightly lower.
I would say so too. Yeah. The Red Sox apparently have $40 million to play with before they reach the luxury tax, and they might go after Schwarber. There's a word today that they'll go after Real Muto behind the plate. So they've got some other moves up their sleeves, but I think they're probably looking at a bat, and it's probably not going to be Nolan Arenado.
But check it out for STL Sports Central. A bunch of other videos coming up of which teams could be in on the Nolan Arenado deal. While we are still talking here about Sonny Gray, people were talking about the Chaim Bloom press conference. If you guys didn't see that already, you can go back to STL Sports Central after you're done today.
We had
you can watch the full press conference that we were able to carry here live. Some people.
Eric Morris, next head coach at Oklahoma State. The
son of a bitch.
Yep. So he's the North Texas coach, set to coach out the remaining games. He's the quarterback whisperer that had his hands on Mahomes and some other guys. and he's 10-1 at North Texas and going to replace Mike Gundy. So there you go, Pete Thamel with all the news at ESPN.
I don't have time.
Did you want Eric? You wanted Eric Morris if our coach leaves?
This is really poor timing. I was going to get into more Cardinal stuff, and now
upset.
Now I really want. Well, that and we got news that there's going to be a board of curators special meeting tomorrow at 3:00. So I feel like something's going to happen with Mizzou, and now this just happened. And I mean, I think the board of curators meeting is going to be an extension, so maybe we're fine. But like that was my one hope. If Drinkwitz leaves Mizzou.
So Eric Morris helped develop Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Cam Ward, and has a young quarterback this year named Drew Mestemaker at North Texas. And he's also worked with Chandler Morris and John Mateer in the past. He's worked with a lot of quarterbacks, and now he'll have the opportunity to go to Oklahoma State as their head coach.
I was not like Oklahoma State. You didn't like you took Oklahoma State, Eric Morris. You could have held. Everyone was taking extensions. There's all these. He could have made an absolutely heroic jump to the SEC. Not even just Mizzou. I can't believe he took the Oklahoma State job before. Why not pinch everybody? Why not wait till Lane makes his call?
Okay.
What are you doing?
Here's the thing. Hold on. Let me. My guess is that he has one of the big name agents, and the agents know what's going on. Let's see. His agent is it's Alex Hammond of Athletes First. So it's not either Jimmy Sexton or the former Bears player. I got his name right now, but anyway. Eric Morris off the board.
This is not what I wanted to react to today. There's so much stuff happening that I can't handle.
It's great, isn't it?
It's got to be let's just dive into this right now.
Sure.
It's got So the news that we're turning into right now is and Brendan Schaefer, by the way, I'm just glad it's not Arkansas. I honestly thought, like, why not wait for Arkansas instead of Oklahoma State if you're Eric Morris? I don't get it. So the first part of the news is that there's a special meeting of the Missouri Board of Curators tomorrow, which could mean a drink extension, could also mean they're prepping for Armageddon. Probably good things, though. And then the other piece of news we're reacting to is that Eric Morris, the North Texas coach, who's had a fantastic season and has Mestemaker, who's also one of the best stories in college football and is probably now a Cowboy, has taken the head coaching job at Oklahoma State. And that was who I wanted if Drinkwitz did leave. But obviously, I think I'm like 75% that the Board of Curators meeting is an extension. I probably should be more like 90, but I'm nervous, so I don't know.
Okay.
Well, that's crazy. Yeah. If that's what the meeting's for, Morris being available doesn't really matter, but I'm just really surprised about this one. Enrico Palazzo says that's oil money, Rock. Yeah, I guess it is oil money, but like what Gundy was all, I guess Gundy was personally against NIL, and so now the NIL money probably rolls in especially for Mestemaker right out of the gate. Boy says these situations like Mizzou's where they are desperate to keep your coaches, how you get $50 million buyouts. Buyout's not that bad actually for Drinkwitz. I think it was 15 million, I think something like that. Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah. By the way, T-Boom Pickens, I think I've killed people on the air before. I don't want to kill him now, but is he dead? Dead or alive? T-Boom Pickens. Let's go.
I'm going to go with alive.
I'm going to go with dead. So let's see.
You got it. Ding, ding, Randy.
When did he die?
2019.
Okay, he's been dead for a long time. So that was a fun game to play.
Oh my gosh. Eric says Eric Morris can actually coach and get something out of QBs, unlike his current coaching staff. Listen here. Thank you for watching, Eric Morris, but maybe hide the username a little bit better next time. You are a fantastic coach and a great quarterback coach, and I would have loved you as the Mizzou head coach, but I hope I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. By the way, good day for sports. Have you guys thought about doing another Thanksgiving food draft, or does 101 ESPN own the rights to that? 101 ESPN does not. I'm guessing that they aren't going to do a Thanksgiving food draft because they don't talk sports, apparently. So I am going to say that you need to tune into The Fight on Matrix Midwest, where we will have a Thanksgiving food draft on tomorrow's shows.
How many people?
3 people draft.
How many spots?
We have well, it's only sides, obviously.
Yes, of course.
And it's a total of 9 sides and 3 desserts.
Ooh.
So yeah, you'll be able to watch that tomorrow, 10 p.m. and then Thanksgiving.
Do you know what pick you have?
I'm the third pick. Yeah.
Oh, hot corner.
Yeah.
Okay, then
pretty good.
that's a dangerous spot to
Yeah.
give you, Randy. Don't give Randy the hot corner. It gets
So,
dangerous.
Check it out on the fight. You can always see it on matrixmidwest.com, and you can also see it on the KMOV app. Just look for the fight, and you'll be able to see the draft.
Sandwich Man says R.I.P. T. Boone Pickens.
Yeah.
Enrico Palazzo, Randy, are you going to make any pies for Thanksgiving?
Ooh, pies are always good. I plan to do a little French silk and maybe a little apple as well.
Ooh.
So yeah, I like making pies for Thanksgiving. And if I
like
can't, you know what I like to do is those Eckert's pies. And I haven't been to a QT. Tell me if you've been to a QT this week, tell me if they're still carrying the Eckert's pies. I guess the week's only 2 days old, so that's why I haven't been there. But tell me if you've been to a QT in the last couple of days and seen an Eckert's pie on the counter, because those are always delicious. They usually have pecan, pumpkin, and apple.
I like how the way you said pecan there.
Pecan pie.
Let's switch back over to the
Samuel Howe. Better get that dessert in the earlier rounds. It's a great call, brother.
Oh, little strategy here. I like that. Eggplant emojis wants to know what about the carrot cake.
Carrot cake might make an appearance on Thanksgiving. Hell no, 101 ESPN and that. Oh, come on now. Don't say anything bad about them. They're
in fairness, I agree with that statement.
Okay.
Pecan pie wins from you, Mama, or pecan. What are you, pecan or pecan?
Pecan.
Pecan, okay.
Pecan
gotcha.
pie from When Harry Met Sally, right?
Yeah, there
pecan
you go.
Pie.
There you go.
I know it's a chick flick totally, but Billy Crystal at one time was funny.
I love Billy Crystal. I love those old Billy Crystal movies.
That 61 movie was really good that he directed.
One, as we switch back here to the big news, Sonny Gray, of course, traded to the Boston Red Sox alongside $20 million for 2 pitchers from the Red Sox and a player to be named later,
or cash,
or cash going back the other way for the Cardinals. That's good to hear.
I wonder if it's like $100 bills.
I would love it if it was literally just a briefcase. I really wish teams had fun with it and they had like a guy like fly to St. Louis with it like handcuffed to his hand the whole time.
Oh, that'd be great.
I wish they would do that.
Deal.
Yes, exactly. I wish they would do that. One other part of this, we talked a lot about Brandon Clarke, but there was another name, and this one is, of course, Richard Fitts. That's the one we're going to have fun with, but he also is a pretty legitimate pitcher. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let you guys hear about Richard Fitts from our good friend Bernie Miklasz.
Yes.
But before we do, I want to tell everybody, this clip is from the upcoming Bernie and Randy online insider exclusive is what I should say. And here's the thing. Bernie and Randy already recorded their reaction today because that's how we do things here. We get it going quick. But here's the thing. To get the Randy and Bernie video today, if you want that reaction today from Bernie and Randy, you're going to have to be an STL Sports Insider. That's the big thing, an STL Sports Central Insider. If you want to get that video today, you're gonna have to wait a little bit for the Bernie and Randy video. If you're not an insider, and also you won't be getting the full video because you want the full reaction. Specifically, you want Bernie and Randy going back and forth about a topic we're going to talk about here in a little bit. You're going to get a little bit of Randy talking about the DeWitts eating a little bit of money. But if you want to hear Randy and Bernie going back and forth about that topic, you're going to need to be an STL Sports Central Insider to get this video early and to get the full video and look at all these other things you're going to be getting. First of all, you can get in the introductory price right now, and then all these things. More stuff from Bernie and Randy, like we're just talking about right now. Brendan Schaefer, Kareem Rush, of course, special experiences like what we're planning right now with watching a Blues game with Jamal Mayers in the alumni box. You get access to all Bernie's columns. Trust me, it's not Monday anymore, so you're really going to want to sign up right now, because if you want an access to Bernie's column this week, breaking down this Sonny Gray trade and his reaction, you're going to need to be an STL Sports Insider.
By the way, Trace Armstrong was at the other coach's agent, former Chicago Bear player.
There you go. So without further ado, here is Bernie Miklasz kind of reminding you there are 2 pitchers in this deal.
Let's not overlook him, because I'll tell you why. I'm going to go back to Eric Longenhagen of Fangraphs, who was responsible for, by the way, ranking the Cardinals farm system #1 at the end of the season. And he follows this stuff. He's a maniac. When he updated the Red Sox top prospect list at the end of June this past season, he had Richard Fitts at #5 and Brandon Clarke at #7. I mean, so I think there's a lot more to Fitts than I thought at first. My initial reaction when I started to research his background, the way the Yankees moved him into the rotation, And the fact that the Yankees people were stunned because he had been a reliever in his first season in the minors as a starter. He threw 150 some innings, and they were thinking maybe he would throw 100 innings, 120. He's got a workhorse quality about him as well. So I'm just saying, let's not look the people that would be inclined to be negative no matter what. Let's not act like Brandon Fitts was some kind of so what throw in this deal. No, he's a guy.
And more importantly, Randy, I think he's a guy that allows them to potentially move Andre Pallante back into the bullpen and then move up Richard Fitts as the fifth starter. And now Kyle Leahy, who's currently already listed, by the way, on the Cardinals website as a starter for next season. Kyle Leahy moves into the starting lineup. You bring in Fitz. Maybe you have a free agent that they add with that $20 million they saved on Sonny Gray. But then I think this allows them and gives them a lot of flexibility to play with certain things, to move guys around. Heck, if they sign a guy and Fitz shows out in spring, you could conceivably have both Leahy and Pallante in the bullpen, and that makes you a stronger team overall. Clarke is the long term in the big hit, but somebody like Fitz, I mean, we were just talking about like the Kolek and the Burbich guys from Kansas City. This guy's right alongside those same things. A young pitcher who, he only has 40 innings, but to Bernie's point, everything tells you he's going to be able to pitch for the longer haul. I like the move both in the short term and in the long term, and that's exactly what Chaim Bloom told us he was going to prioritize.
Yeah, he's a big fella, 6'3", 240. Has not historically at the major league level, and obviously his history in the major leagues is not extensive. He's only pitched in the majors for 2 years. Has 49 strikeouts and 65 2/3. The Cardinals think there are things that they can tweak to make him more of a strikeout pitcher, and I think at the very least he's intriguing. By the way, I'm going to give you guys a fun fact here. I think I know something that you will. Well, he won't be intrigued by it.
Oh, okay.
But I will be intrigued by it. Okay.
What is this going to be? I'm just worried.
No, don't be worried. Okay, so here we go. Richard Fitts, as a member of the Boston Red Sox, wore the number 80. The St. Louis Cardinals have never had a number 80.
Oh, I do like that a lot.
So he will, if he maintains that number, he will be the first number 80 in the history of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Samuel House pointing out, isn't this a guy with a 5 ERA though? Boy says, yeah, but look at his starts this year. Listen, I'm not saying that he has a track record that you can lean on, but listen, he's got like 60 innings pitched in the major leagues. He had 10 starts last year, and he had like 45 innings pitched. It means he's not going very often into the sixth inning and things like that. I'm not saying it's all sunshines and lollipops. The point is, and the point from Bernie is that this guy has major league quality stuff. Can he put it all together? That's the big question. Can he put it all together as a starter who pitches more than 100 innings? That's the big question. We've seen already with Andre Pallante, he's a 3.5 ERA guy as a reliever or a starter under 100 innings. You get outside those parameters and his ERA balloons up to about 5 across his career. So he might be a guy like that, but the point is that that's not the big part of this move. That's more of the convenience now, solid piece, good little flip of the coin move for now. The big one, obviously, is a lefty with crazy movement and crazy speed.
Yeah, and I think there were a lot of background numbers, underlying numbers that went into this trade for a guy like Fitts. Obviously, they loved the front and center things that are brought to the table by Brandon Clarke. But one of the other things that Chaim Bloom said today is there are things that you see, like the 100-mile-an-hour fastball for Clarke, but there are other things that we see that you might not know about that we think he can do even better, speaking of Fitts. And so the Cardinals will try to tweak him as a little giveaway. Bernie will mention, or he might have even, no, he didn't mention in that little thing about Matt Pierpont, right, from Seattle, who is...
No, Randy, if you want to hear about that today,
you can hear about that if you become an insider. But that's one of the things that Matt Pierpont does, is he tweaks pitchers' stuff and is able to hopefully get the most out of them, like they have done in Seattle with people like Gilbert and the rest of that gang in Seattle.
By the way, that little Pierpont point, And this is why
Your
becoming an
point.
insider is so important, is because you hear that from Bernie, and then in 2 or 3 weeks when they trade Brendan Donovan and there's a young pitcher and you're talking to your friends about the trade, you go, yeah, but here's the thing, guys, the Cardinals have this guy, Matt Pierpont, and he really can work on young pitchers. So I know he might not show it now, but he's got stuff, and we got the coaches now who can work with him. That's the big difference with the 2026 Cardinals. Look how intelligent you're going to sound at McGurk's when you say that. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, we also want you to know, speaking of smart, that you can use DraftKings Sportsbook starting December 1st.
That's Monday.
Right here in Missouri. That's Monday.
That's Monday.
Yep. And you can use it and use your smarts to win big. DraftKings Sportsbook, you use that promo code right there, STL Sports, and you're going to get $300 in bonus bets on launch day, which is Monday. And you're going to get fast payouts when you win. You're going to get a safe and secure app that's easy to use and promos to keep the action going. All you need to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that code right there, STL Sports. New Missouri customers sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
So we have a couple more clips from Chaim Bloom. The first one I want to get into, and we talked already about Brandon Clarke. He had the TJ surgery when he was in high school. There's also been some injury issues with Richard Fitts as well. And so one of the clips we have from Chaim Bloom in his presser today is him kind of talking about the current fitness and injury status for both of these young pitchers.
Everything that we had heard that was backed up by what we were able to see reviewing their medical information, and actually just spoke to Richard. He is back throwing. He was in Boston until last week and just went back home, and he's back throwing, and we would expect him to have a normal offseason and be ready to compete for a rotation spot in spring training. As for Brandon, obviously he's had some medical history, and most recently those blisters, which are something that some young pitchers, especially with the ability to create some of the shapes that he can create, might suffer from and have to learn to manage. Look, this is his first full pro season. That is something we're going to have to work with him to help manage as he goes forward. I think it's a byproduct of some of the very unique things he's able to do on the mound. So obviously when somebody's at this spot in their journey, there's a lot they have to learn about themselves, and a lot we have to learn about them too as we get to know him. But this is a guy that our pitching team did a lot of homework on as we were discussing this acquisition, and we're going to be there to support him in a lot of different ways, whether it's what he does between the lines, what he does off the field, to make sure he has every chance to reach his potential. But he should be ready to go when spring training comes.
Obviously, knowing that there are injury issues around these guys, great to hear those updates.
Yeah. Okay. First thing coming out of that, when the movie is made about how the Cardinals turn things around under Chaim Bloom, does George Clooney play him?
Ooh, okay. This is, you know what? We got a really good shot right now. I mean, we're looking right down the barrel. We got the facial features. You know what? I can see where you're going with. He does kind of have the Clooney.
Could we build a side by side? Are we capable of that? We have time to do that.
We potentially could. Wilson, can you get us a good photo of George Clooney, sir? He's a little young. The problem is Chaim's so young.
Yeah, well, they got makeup
and they're going the other way.
Yeah.
I guess it's gonna be tricky. Like,
you got to get the scruffy here. I've got, and I hate to do this to you guys, but you got to get the scruffy George Clooney, which is there.
Okay. You'll know. Yes. We need the one with the scruff. Yeah, with the scruff.
Yeah.
I like what you're doing here. I like what you're doing here, Randy.
I think
this is good.
Be proud of this, actually. So,
Joe Breeding says 4-4. Joe Breeding says, "Boom! You said it first." Oh, that's a good. This actually, because I see what you're going with. I really like this. I really. Bubs says, I think Clooney's a little too old. Maybe Matt Damon or Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac is a good call.
I don't know Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, you would not have seen a lot of things he's in.
Makeup. I mean, they can make Harrison Ford look like Indiana Jones again.
The big swings for Oscar Isaac lately have been he was in a Marvel television show. Mm-hmm. He was in the newest Star Wars trilogy. Don't start with me. And he's also in Dune. Stop it. No, don't do it.
Gotta have Star Wars.
That's you know what?
You're in those Far Wars.
That's better than the Star Trek stuff.
I see Ben Affleck, says Samuel Howe. You know, Ben Affleck's a Boston guy. Ben Affleck could pull it off, I guess.
Ben Affleck could pull it off. I like this one. Sandwich Man We have such a weird devolution. What about Andrew Garfield? No, Andrew Garfield's a little. He doesn't have the beard and like his Andrew Garfield's eyes smile. If you know what I mean.
Okay. BJ Novak, according to Space Magic Storm.
Okay.
That'd be interesting.
Right. Yes. Ryan from
I
The
still like
Office.
my
If
call here.
some people haven't, if some people aren't dipped into that fandom, Ryan from The Office is BJ Novak.
Yeah.
Okay. Craig Lewis read my mind. Rami Malek with Scruff. I was thinking Rami Malek, because of. Because I mean it's because of the
good call.
It's because of the cheekbones. It's because Haim's got those really kind of
hair.
The cheekbones, a little bit of the shallow like he's got high cheekbones, but he's got a little shallowness in the cheeks.
Freddie Mercury.
Yes, he was Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, that's a really nice call.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, as soon as we started thinking of this, I was like, you know what? I could see Rami Malek playing Freddie Mercury. Because again, it's a thinner face profile, sunken cheeks a little bit, high cheekbones. I don't know why we're doing this, but I'm doing it anyway.
No, I think it's a good call though. I think Rami Malek. I'm going to give you credit because you picked a better one than I.
Check out Oscar Isaac.
Okay,
that's because you would not have seen him very often, but he does. He has the scruff, and he's got a look. He's a little bit. I think he's a little bit thicker and bigger than
that's still a good
Haim,
call.
but I think Oscar Isaac's also a very good call.
I think that's a good call too.
And they're younger. We could get them. Ooh, I like this. Samuel Howe asking the real questions. You have to have Mo at the beginning of the movie. So who plays Mo Zaylock at the beginning of the movie?
Okay, yeah, that's up to you guys.
Oh.
I don't even have one.
That's a tough one. Who could play John Mozeliak? Oh no, there is somebody in my head. And I can't think of the actor. I have his face, and I cannot think of the actor.
Okay, Nick Jensen, 1350. Randy, I asked this question to Bernie today as well. Is the Cardinals opening day starter on the roster currently, or do they need to go out and sign him? I would think that relative to the people the Cardinals would sign in free agency, that Matthew Liberatore would probably wind up being your opening day starter if healthy, because I don't think the Cardinals are going to sign anybody with a better resume than Matthew Liberatore. So my guess is that he is your number one. I know the Cardinals would like to get as much quality as they can. I just don't think they're going to, and by the way, we're going to have our side-by-side here. I just don't think the Cardinals now are in a position to go get that guy where you say, he's our number one. My guess would be that the guys the Cardinals sign, I'm going to guess they're going to sign more than one. They're going to be relatively inexpensive placeholders for when people like Matthews and Doyle and Motts and now Clarke and all of these left-handers, all of these guys, when they're ready, I think the Cardinals will be able to take out the placeholder out of the rotation very quickly. The Cardinals are not going to spend big money, and they aren't going to get high long-term quality this year in free agency in the starting rotation. So I'm going to go with Matthew Liberatore being my guy.
I really like that call. I really like that call.
Yep.
And he should have a special season. That should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
We'll get another still shot of Chaim Bloom at the end of this clip, because another thing we talked about, in fact, you asked Chaim Bloom about the DeWitts eating money this offseason. And right out of the gate, first trade, hopefully not the last one though, that they did eat money. And I believe it was Matt Pauley who was able to get a question to Chaim about kind of the flexibility it adds for them.
Different in every deal. We're fortunate that we have the backing of ownership to be able to do that if it is the best deal for us. You'd obviously always rather not have to put cash in a deal. But if that's what's possible with the other side and that nets you the best return, then it's been great to have ownership's backing to be able to do that. And, there's always a sliding scale with these things, and you assess different possibilities as you look at the market. You obviously have to factor it in because it does eat into, the resources you have available to build the club in the here and now. But we thought this was the best deal available to us, and that's why we did it.
And that's one of the nice things about Cardinal ownership is that they can afford to make moves like this. The Yankees lose money. The Yankees don't make a profit, so they can't make moves like this. But the Cardinals lose money, and you guys are asking for it. And Bill DeWitt just saying, yeah, you know what? Let me just write a check for $20 million, and we'll send it to Boston and John Henry because they don't need it in Boston. They aren't making any money there.
All right, there's Heim Bloom. There's Heim Bloom.
Okay.
There's George Clooney.
Okay, let's do this again.
It's a little. I can't go back and forth.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't. Well, I guess
Okay.
I can wait. Hold on a second. I can't go back and forth. I just have to mute the video. Just hold on a second. I can go back and forth and mute video and add.
Okay.
I mean, you're 100% right that it fits. It's just the age issue is something we can't get past.
No, because we're once we get into like it's not real. You don't have to worry. Look, that is good actually. He could be 42. Right?
Honestly, the placement on the camera is perfect too. Their faces in the
Yeah.
exact same spot.
Yeah.
Really worked out well.
So I'm fine if Clooney plays the Heim. He's
Randy, would you like to know who people are casting for you?
Yeah, I would.
Because
like
they said that we need to cast Randy's Mo's arch nemesis. By the way, I liked this. They threw out a name for John Mozeliak.
Mhm.
Rami Malek as Heim Bloom.
Uh-huh.
John Hamm as John Mozeliak. And this is fantastic. Kevin Costner as Randy Karraker. How about Paul Giamatti?
Everybody tells me that that Harrison Ford looks like me.
Oh, I kind of like that. I like a Harrison Ford one too. Okay, I'm telling you, we're building one hell of a cast.
In fact, the last time I saw Kevin Demoff, he said, "Yeah, you look like Harrison Ford." I said, "Come on."
You're trying to butter
And I
you up
walked
so you
away.
wouldn't
I said,
attack
"Yeah,
him.
I don't." I said, "Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, brother." Walked away.
Somebody also said Benedict Cumberbatch for John Mozeliak.
Hmm.
I can see what you're going for here, but I don't think so.
This is going to be a fun Cardinal movie. I
Tom
can
Bra-
tell you that.
Tom Brady. Time sounds like Tom Brady. Yes, we've heard this one before.
Yeah.
I do agree with that a lot. One other thing that I thought was interesting from the press conference with Heim Bloom, he was asked about Brendan Schaefer about kind of like, you open a lot of space for young players by making moves like this. Kind of how that is. He talked a lot about creating competition for this team going forward.
Yeah, look, we want to create competition with our young players. I don't think that necessarily needs to be to the exclusion of veterans, like we talked about. There's a lot of value in some guys who've been there, done that, and can show the way. And we've seen that here the last couple of years. Competition's really good. It can bring out the best in people. Not only does it obviously give us more options to win on the field, but I've seen this in places I've been where you have a group of players. I think back to all the competition that was created with some of those young pitchers a decade plus ago with the Rays. It really pushes people. You can get some good things going culturally when those guys, they're competing with each other, but they know there's a lot of spots and they're really pushing each other. So it can get to a point where one guy goes out there and does something or figures something out, and then the next guy whose turn it is the next day wants to one-up them, and it becomes very healthy. So certainly if we're able to continue to add options to this group, or over time, as some of the guys that we have coming through the minor leagues come up, we hope to create that. I think it'll be great for the group. And I know this organization, obviously over the years, there's been an incredible starting pitching culture here that hopefully over time, as the talent warrants, we can get back to.
I think it probably makes the trade a little bit easier hearing him talk about that while Sonny Gray, great guy, I don't know if he was ever a vocal leader in the clubhouse.
No, he wasn't.
And so you don't really lose any of that veteran heft or clout of the leadership or the teachability factors. You don't necessarily lose those things by trading away this veteran. And so in a lot of ways, as he talked about there, I think this is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, obviously it's a no-brainer trade, but I mean the fact that they don't lose that by trading away a veteran like this, that's a good thing too.
Mr. Bloom, I know you're watching, and we do appreciate that. And I can tell you this: when you talk about Cardinal history and the culture that was cultivated when the Cardinals were really good, a large part of that culture was fostered by one Chris Carpenter, who is now, if I'm not mistaken, still in the Angels organization, and would be a sensational person to have foster a culture like that. Hey, you did this on Wednesday, I'm going to one-up you on Thursday. You did this on Friday, I'm going to get you on Friday, and I'm going to do one better. Not only that part of it, but the part of it, and what's a bummer is that you were supposed to go from Carp to Waino to Flaherty, and Flaherty flamed out here and never did it. And the Cardinals have kind of lost this, that camaraderie, that team within a team culture that your starting rotation has. Used to be that all the starters, when one guy was throwing a bullpen, all of them were out there watching the bullpen. And the Cardinals don't have that now. And you're right in that the Cardinals would do well to reestablish that culture. And here we are on November 25th. I think if you go out and you tell Chris Carpenter, hey, we'd like to have you in our organization rather than the Angels organization, he would come back in a blink. He comes back for all of the red jacket ceremonies, opening day. He comes back for the Hall of Fame induction. So I think that would be a great way for the Cardinals to build with a young staff, to build that level of camaraderie and competitiveness, is with one of the guys, maybe the guy that fostered that as much as anybody else. Really started with Pat Henkin back in 2000. Henkin passed it along to Darryl Kyle and Andy Bennis. And then those guys passed it along to Carp. And I think that would be a brilliant way to, number one, honor the Cardinal past, but also present their future.
Sir Smokes a lot here in the chat, and I'm not sure why he's directing this to you. I don't really necessarily think you put up any barriers to the statement of calling it a rebuild. Randy is finally getting it, that in understanding that it's a rebuild, not a retool. Don't shoot him for speaking on what they will or specifically won't do in free agency. I think it's interesting to me because I saw a lot of people in our chats earlier today talking about how, like, well, I guess they are finally rebuilding. As it really is a rebuild. I guess they're going to win 60 games. And I guess my question is I just wonder what these people's expectation was of this season 2 weeks ago, or like what their expectations of 2026 would have been had I asked them 2 weeks ago, because this did not change any of my expectations for the Cardinals in 2026, except for instead of expecting 73 or 75 wins, I think it's probably going to be more like 71 to 73. Because when Sonny Gray was really good, he was really good, and he won you 3 or 4 games that he was just him going out there and absolutely dominating. Yeah, he was bad when he was bad, but the pitchers you have pitching instead of him are probably going to have some bad nights too. And so I think they probably lost a couple wins, but it doesn't matter in the long run. Why does that matter to people this year?
Okay, so back in the day when we were on the radio, we did a segment called Take It or Leave It, which, by the way, we do on TV too. But I remember in early September of 2024, somebody, and it was either Matthew or Brooke or me, said, take it or leave it. Everybody on the 2025 Cardinals is already in the organization now.
That was you, yeah. That was a good call.
And do you remember who asked that? Who said, who gave that take it or leave it?
Yeah, I don't remember who
I think
was.
It might have been me.
It was you. Yeah, you definitely did that take it or leave it. That was 100% you. And that was one of the better calls.
And the only guy that was from a different organization in 2025 wound up being Phil Maton. This is not new. This has been a rebuild or a retool for quite some time. And if you're paying attention a long time ago, you could see this coming, that the Cardinals were going to go with a youth movement. And we all know that they tried to trade Nolan Arenado last year, right? And he wouldn't go. They asked Sonny Gray if he would go. He wouldn't. They asked Wilson Contreras if he would go. He wouldn't. They would have been in a full-blown rebuild last year if they could have traded Contreras, if they could have traded Gray, if Arenado would have accepted their trade. Obviously, Goldie walked out the door. You didn't have Kyle Gibson back. You didn't have Lance Lynn back. This has been coming for quite some time. And I think all you needed to do was kind of watch the landscape of what was happening. And I've tried to point this out for quite some time. This is not new. This was coming as early as last August or September. Once we got past the trade deadline of 2024, I thought it was pretty obvious that the Cardinals, A, were really intent upon finding out about their kids, and B, we're not going to spend a whole lot more money because of the crowds they were drawing. So for me, and I think people that pay attention to me and respect what I say and listen, I think you kind of had an idea of what was going to come, and here it is.
Let's get our last little comment here, and then we'll finish up, because Sir Smokes a Lot says, I just saw a video of Randy talking about quantity over quality in return for Donovan. That is from about 10 days ago now. You guys can go back and find the full video on STL Sports Central. Me and Randy did about 30-40 minutes talking about whether or not, just kind of like what your expectation is and what you need to see from Brandon Donovan. It was less about quantity and quality in that discussion. It was more about, do the Cardinals need to prioritize getting 2026 starting pitching, or can they just get, big prospects who aren't ready yet? That was more of the conversation. But
I think it goes back, if I'm not mistaken, to getting one guy for the major leagues, and then Heim used the term warehouse a guy at the AAA level, right? So that you have not that you're giving up quality for quantity, but if you have a guy like Brendan Donovan, who by all accounts is being pursued by half of the teams in the major leagues, it doesn't make sense to only get one guy for him. You should be able to get a bidding war going and get multiple pitchers for Brendan Donovan.
So to that point, he's saying it's clear Bloom loves boomer bust prospects. I'm not going to extrapolate that from today's move, but I will take this and say, does today's move specifically, the lesser part of the deal being the current deal, aka the pitcher who is lower ranked in the trade value is the one who's going to pitch more often in 2026, and the big name pitcher is farther off. Do you see that being the same build for the Donnie trade, or because of value, because of the money factor and everything like that, do you just see it being a completely different tier build and everything like that?
Well, as Chaim Bloom said today, he thinks that Fitts is good enough to pitch for them for a long time. But when you talk about Boom, when you're talking about if Clarke winds up being what he obviously is capable of, a hard-throwing left-hander with really good stuff, who has strikeout stuff and all the metrics. And then you think about him joining a guy like Liam Doyle in the rotation, and Quinn Matthews in the rotation, and maybe Liberatore and McGreevy. If Liberatore and McGreevy by 2027 are the fourth and fifth guys in your rotation, then you've got something, right? And so what the Cardinals have needed for a long time is a legit number one and a legit number two. And wouldn't hurt to have a legit number three. Doyle has that sort of ability. Matthews has that sort of ability. And now Brandon Clarke has that sort of ability. The question is, can it be cultivated, and can those guys actually turn their ability into production? But that's what we're looking for, is the Boom guy that you're talking about. And if he goes bust, that'd be a shame. But maybe you could have three big-time left-handers at the front of your rotation.
I'd be okay with that. But yeah, I do. I'm not, I think, again, it's such a different thing. Like when we talk about Donovan's value, like first of all, is like, you don't have to eat money money, which takes away the value. Sonny was just, up and down roller coaster starting pitcher, whereas Brendan Donovan is the picture of consistency. So it's just like, I just think the value of Donnie is just so much different than Gray's. I don't think we can restrict the Cardinals' expectations to just being a similar, one big swing and then one smaller kind of like safe bet. I think the Cardinals can get more than that for Brendan Donovan.
And I do think that the Cardinals are fortunate to have Brendan Donovan with his value, and then have a guy like Weatherholt, who could be a great player and could be their best player in very short order. That's the guy that they would likely play at second base. So that's the way I'm looking at it, is the Cardinals can trade a guy who's a really good player, replace him with a really good player, and then fill needs in their rotation where they obviously need more.
The Roth Kerberts, it's refreshing to see action and as in a direction for the Cardinals. I, as a fan, obviously want us to win. We're in an era that has gotten to get worse before it gets better. Keep it going, Chaim.
Yeah, good job, Chaim, or George.
Chris Navi, we knew the deal was coming, so it's best to shave the big payroll guys off and retool for the future and be ready for youth and be ready to sign free agent players when the time is right.
And I want to make one other quick point, because late last season, I asked Ollie, hey, if you were doing a commercial, how would you sell this team? And he thought for a long time about it. He said, you know what? I would tell people that they get to watch a group of guys that are really working hard, that are really trying hard, and have a chance to be the future of this franchise. And as the BFIB, that's what we have to embrace. We have to, and I know a lot of people don't like to embrace the journey, but there could be a big payoff at the end of the rainbow with this team. And so if you do embrace the journey, you might be rewarded big time in 2028 or 2029. So I think that if you want them to be the Phillies, if you want them to be the Dodgers, that's not going to happen. So what you have to hope is that their players are better than Milwaukee's players that had the best record in baseball, and that they do ultimately have an opportunity to compete with a franchise like the Doyers.
The Cardinals start a fun journey, and thank you for joining us on our little journey today.
It was a fun journey. It was the Randy Karraker Show with Matthew Rocchio here on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.
Yep. I just want to remind everyone, if you want to see Randy and Bernie chopping it up to this reaction from today's trade, you got to join the STL Sports Central Insiders. So easy. Just go to visit stlsportscentral.com and join now. You're going to get all kinds of extra stuff, again, including the full version of Randy and Bernie before anybody else is able to see it. Also, so many other great things are going to be coming. Just stay tuned. We'll be updating you on the new things that get added throughout the next few weeks and months. And I want to tell everybody, Randy Karraker is off on a wonderful little Thanksgiving vacation. So if you want to watch some more Randy Karraker this week, you're going to have to subscribe to be an insider, or just wait until the video comes out for everybody later on this week, because this is the last bit you'll see of Randy Karraker, because he has worked so hard and he deserves a little time off.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And by the way, you know who's really good at chopping it up?
Who?
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, no.
Allegedly.
And he's going to, and that's how we head to a holiday, ladies and gentlemen.
Wilson got us on the air. Matthew, I'm Randy. We'll see you next time on STL Sports Central.